Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 5:27 a.m. East Coast time, Wednesday, July 31st. The MLB video just went up. We did that one around 4:30 a.m. We got an NFL showdown video coming up. Yes, an NFL video. There's a video for the Hall of Fame game coming out tomorrow I'm going to be doing. It's going to be fun. You know, we can't take it too seriously, but a $20,000 prize pool first we can take kind of seriously for a showdown. So we'll do that. But here's a WNBA video. We have a showdown slate tonight, 7 p.m. These are my projections. These are the system that you get if you sign up for Patreon. A lot of people waiting until the 1st of August to sign up for Patreon, so you get the full month. Makes a ton of sense to me. End of the month, so here's the projections. It's a showdown slate. I have no other way to really break it down other than showing you my projections because, one, there's no injuries. Two, I can briefly show you what the pace looks like in the over-under for the game, but for the most part, I'm not going to list off 10 interests when realistically there's only, in terms of getting 10 or more fantasy points in this game, there's only like 14 players, so at least in my projections. So we'll go through it. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Wnba Dfs. I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, which again, showdown slate tomorrow. Going to be breaking that down today. Cannot wait. MLB, which again, baseball slate, 8-game slate went up today. WNBA, which again, right now, 3 videos today. It's a long work day so far, and the NBA, which I cannot wait for that to start. I am currently working on an NFL daily fantasy course. It's going to be out within the next 10 days, NFL daily fantasy sports. A lot of people ask me questions on it, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to cover those questions, the basics of it, but also get a little bit more advanced. I'll be showing you how I make my stat sheets. I don't do, or I guess I do projections for certain things in the NFL, like target shares and all of that. So I'm going to show you how I kind of make my data sheets like I do for baseball, which would be this right here. I'm going to show you how I make this for each position. I'll do tutorials on that. I'm going to answer all the questions on content selection, show you my bankroll strategy, how for different goals you should be doing your bankroll strategy, ownership, every single thing you need, stacking. We'll be talking about every single thing for the NFL. It'll be an all-encompassed course, and you can sign up down below for free. You don't get locked into anything. It's just an email opt-in to say, okay, Sal, when the course is ready, give us updates on it. So that's what you can do. That's linked down below, as well as some other free stuff. There's a nice PDF down there that'll actually help you. It's shaped towards the NBA, but it'll work for the WNBA because they're pretty much the exact same thing when it comes to Wnba Dfs to an extent, at least for what that article is doing. So that's down below, as well as Patreon, my projections that you're seeing right here. I do not show these every single day if you're new here. I'm showing it because it's a showdown slate. So on 2, 3, 4, 5 game slates, it's going to be locked up in Patreon for the patrons only. About 50, 60 people over there. Excited about everybody over there that's been supporting me. Helps me out a ton as a creator, and hopefully it's been helping you guys out. A couple people have banked the $10,000 and $5,000 prize pools to first. About 3 or 4 since we've been doing this in a 2-month span, or really a month and a half span, which is fantastic. I'll take that. Once every 10 days, somebody's winning the $5,000 or $10,000 from our patrons. And that's not to say that they're not winning the other days. So that's good to know. So that's everything. Sign up for that course if you're interested for NFL. Comment down below if you are interested as well. And yeah, let's go over the showdown slate. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be a quick video because there's not much to go into. We'll quickly just look at target offense. Both these teams pretty much play extremely slow. They both are bottom in the leagues in terms of how fast they pay. And you're going to get a very slow-paced game today, which usually leads to a lower over-under. Now, relative to what else is on the slate, it doesn't matter because there's nothing else on the slate, right? So I guess just things to point out right away is that Tiffany Hayes seems to be back. She came back right before the All-Star break, played 30 minutes. Now she's had, I don't know, they haven't played since the 23rd, so 8 days off. This whole team has had 8 days off. Both these teams have had 8 days off, so yeah, Tiffany Hayes at $9,000 is by far the best play on the slate, in my opinion. Not only does she grade out as a kind of a tie for the best value, she grades out for the most fantasy points for me by a wide margin, and she grades out as the best value for me. So what does that do? At $9,000, that means that I'm going to be getting to a lot of Tiffany Hayes today, and it makes sense. She's the most expensive player on the slate that I can see, and if she's the most expensive and she's only $9,000, then yes, you better believe that you're going to probably have some money left over. The biggest tip I can continue to give you is do not spend all of your salary cap on a showdown slate. If you're entering one lineup, do not do it. You have to get different somehow. And on a slate where the most expensive player is $9,000 and not $10,500 or $11,000, it's going to be really easy to leave money on the slate, or money on the slate on the lineup. You might be leaving $2,000. You might be leaving $1,500. Honestly, when this is the way the slate is shaped, it's not a bad idea. So Tiffany Hayes is going to probably be my captain today. I doubt that that's going to shock anybody. She's projected for 34.6 points in my model. You want to know the next closest person? 27.9 for Erica Wheeler. Why is Tiffany Hayes projected so high? Well, I have her playing for 33 minutes, which is not her normal, but it was her normal for the past week and a half before she got injured. So even if you bump her down to, let's do 32 minutes here, She's still projected for 33. So you bump her down to 30. You don't think she's playing 33. You think she's only playing 30 today. She's still projected for 31, which is 3.5 fantasy points more than the next closest person. I love Tiffany Hayes today. The matchup against the Indy guards. Indy is bottom 2 or bottom 3 in the league against guarding the guard position. Now you get Tiffany Hayes, who's a very ball-dominant point guard. So yeah, give me Tiffany Hayes, 0.89 fantasy points per minute. I have her projected for 1.05 fantasy points per minute today due to the fact that she has a very ideal matchup. Now the pace in this game should slow things down a little bit, but that usually impacts, in terms of your fantasy output the most, it's usually going to impact the team as a whole a little bit per player, but when the matchup is so beneficial, it's going to bump up that point per minute for me. What that pretty much means for you is that $9,000 is way too cheap for Tiffany Hayes. Will she be the automatic captain tonight for me? There's a good chance, yeah. Erica Wheeler, the second player on here at 8,600, the second most expensive player. So none of this is going to be shocking to you based on price. I believe the MVP of the All-Star game, 1 fantasy point per minute producer, gets a pretty ideal matchup, or gets a more favorable matchup, 7th in the league at defending the guard position, so closer to neutral than ideal for Erica Wheeler against Atlanta today. And yeah, I have a projected for the second most fantasy points, but now it becomes very close, right? You have Tiffany Hayes on her own planet for me at 34.6 fantasy points in this game projected. And then when you have the projections for players 2 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2 through 9, it's only a difference of 5 fantasy points, whereas the difference between 1 and 2 is 5. So you can see Hayes is on a tier of her own. I mean, it's huge for me. I'm not dying to get to Erica Wheeler today. I don't think it's a necessity, but on a slate where you have another starting point guard who should go out there and play close to 30 minutes, have a projected for 29, you're trying to get as much of that opportunity as you can. You're trying to hoard all of the minutes as much as you can. So yes, I do have interest in getting to her, but I'm not sure if I get there yet. Tiffany Hayes is definitely going to be my captain, trying to get different elsewhere. I do believe that couple players here. So the forwards for Indiana today go up against Atlanta, who is dead last in the league at guarding the forward position. So who are the forwards for Indiana, you might ask? Well, Natalie Okonwa, Tiara McCown, Candice Dupree, all these are the forwards for Indiana today. Honestly, Candice Dupree is the most expensive one and the one I have the least interest in. This is a player who's only a 0.73 fantasy point per minute producer. Even if she's out there for 30 minutes today, she only grades out for 22.8 fantasy points for me. That's not great. The other players on her team I have for more. Now the issue is we don't know if Tiara McCown's going to go out there and play 28 minutes. We don't know if she's going to go out there and play 18. I have Tiara McCown at 22 today. I have Natalie Okonwa at 26. Am I confident in that? As confident as you can be, yes. I mean, for me to put that there, I have some confidence. Do I think that Okonwa can play 30 and Tiara McCown can play 18? Yes. Do I think Tiara McCown can play 26 and Okonwa plays 24? Yeah, I think that that's the case too. So I'm giving you sort of this median projection. Right now, I like Natalie Okonwa and I like Tiara McCown. I like both of them today. I like Okonwa a little bit more because I do think she's going to play more minutes than McCown. Is that 100% of the time going to happen? No. Do I think it happens 65+% of the time? Yeah, I do. So I have interest in Natalie Okonwa in the most favorable matchup that you can get against Atlanta at the forward position. And I honestly have interest in playing 2 forwards. You could play Tiara McCown and Natalie Okonwa. Is that the smartest move? Probably not, but you can play them. I think Natalie Okonwa plus Candice Dupree is a fine pairing as well. So Tiffany Hayes is a very interesting play to me. I like Natalie Okonwa a lot today. Going down a little bit more here, we have Monique Billings at 5,800. I don't know what they're doing with their price point. Look, I get it. She played a little bit more minutes than she usually does in her last game. She played like 30 when she only actually averages 18 or 19 minutes per game. But I think she plays over 20 today. I mean, they're sort of short-handed here, this Atlanta team, so I think she plays over 20. I have her at 24, and if I put her at 24, she becomes as close of a value as Tiffany Hayes. Now, don't take that as, oh, she's going to score as many points. No, it means for her price point, she'll return. She'll be as good of a bang for her buck as Tiffany Hayes. So Tiffany Hayes is expensive, but will score a lot of points. Monique Billings is inexpensive and will score a decent amount of points. So look, if you don't think she plays 24 minutes, I'll even put her at 20 minutes today. Even if I put her at 20 minutes today, she's still a good play at 5,800. She becomes a nice play, going to average 18.6 fantasy points. If I put her at 24 minutes, which maybe is a little bit high, she goes for 22.3 fantasy points, which, as surprising as it sounds, is very close to Candice Dupree, Renee Montgomery. Let's put her in the middle. Let's put her at 22 fantasy points today. Well, now she's still a very good value. She's a top 3 value on the slate and is going to score 20.5 in my model. So again, these are median projections. These are not sacred. If I could project everything sacredly, I would be winning millions of dollars, right? But I'm not winning millions of dollars every night. It's median projections. So yeah, Monique Billings at 5,800. I think it's just way too cheap. She's one of the cheaper players on the slate, and she's probably one of the top 4 plays on the slate overall. So this is where my mindset's going right now. Tiffany Hayes, sort of a lock, captain, great, yes, has the most upside in my opinion, has the highest floor in my opinion, exactly what I wanted of a captain, inexpensive as well. Natalie Coleman at 7,200. Yes, I like getting there against this Atlanta putrid defense. I'm fine if you go to a second forward in Candice Dupree or Tiara McCown. I really don't have a preference from either of them. Dupree will play more minutes, but Dupree's a much worse fantasy point per minute producer. While as McCown, if she plays at least over 20, she averages 0.35 fantasy points per minute more than Dupree. So you can see the big difference there. For every 3 minutes she's on the court, she's scoring 1 more fantasy points than Candice Dupree. Dupree's going to be on the court. She's the starting center, whatever you want to call it, but starting power forward. But she's not a great fantasy point per minute producer. Good on defense, really good on defense, and not good on offense, at least for fantasy. So Monique Billings very cheap. Renee Montgomery, people are going to jump here because she's playing now like 28, 29 minutes per game. But Tiffany Hayes is back. So this is not Montgomery who's going to be taking more shots. This is Montgomery who's going to be out there, maybe picking up a few assists, making some baskets. But at $7,000, I think I'd rather go elsewhere. Look, she's going to be out there for 27 minutes. With that, I much prefer Monique Billings at her price point. I think they score similar fantasy points today. I much prefer some other players who are cheaper, probably like a Laney. But yeah, that's just where I'm at right now. Montgomery, I'm very iffy on. If anything, I lean off of. I do think Laney's in play today. She averages the same fantasy points per minute as Montgomery does when Tiffany Hayes is on the court. So what you're pretty much getting here, at least in my opinion, is Laney, who is $400 cheaper, who's likely lower owned, who should play 4 more minutes. I get it. She has a little bit of a tougher matchup, or a decently tougher matchup. The matchup against Atlanta is more so neutral, 7th best in the league at defending the guard, whereas Montgomery's matchup against Indiana is bottom 3rd of the league, right? They're 10th best in the league at defending the guard. But again, Montgomery does not become this offensive weapon when Tiffany Hayes, or as much of an offensive weapon when Tiffany Hayes is out of the game. Playing Bentley is very scary. This is a player who only has a 14.7% usage rate, but does play 31 minutes a game, or 29 minutes a game. I average for 31 today. Projected for 20.2 fantasy points. I take that. I do think that that's a decent play, although there is much upside, or there is a lot of scare there, because she can play 31 minutes and score 12 fantasy points. So this is really it. I mean, outside of that, when you start to go really low, I really don't have any interest in anybody who's going to be projecting out for 10 or less fantasy points for me, which, if I quickly do that, is going to be Nia Coffey and below. I just have no interest in even looking there, to be completely honest with you. The minutes for these players are 10 minutes or below. They don't project out for any fantasy points. I don't know how I get there, honestly. So what that does is automatically limit my player pool to 14. Alex Bentley has a favorable matchup. Probably not going to see a lot of minutes today due to the fact that now Tiffany Hayes is back, and you already have Brittany Sykes out there seeing upper 20s a minute. You have Renee Montgomery seeing upper 20s. Bentley is pretty much the backup guard for all those players. Might see 15 minutes. That's not going to be enough. So my player pool is probably these 13 players that you're seeing right here, except one more is going to go. Jessica Breland. I don't know how her price point continues to stay high. She plays, if she's lucky, 18 minutes in a game. You're not doing anything for 7,600 with 18 minutes. She should not be a top 6 expensive player on the slate. I don't know how her price point is that high. So we're now down to 12 players in a player pool, which is what I like to see. These are the players that I feel comfortable with you rostering. These are the players that I personally feel comfortable rostering today. More, less than, or some, less than, whatever I'm trying to say right now. It's 5:30 in the morning. More so, less than some others, whatever the hell that means. But yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm not going to piece together a lineup. I've given you as much advice as I can on a 1-game WNBA showdown slate for this video. It's way too long, honestly. So yeah, Tiffany Hayes I like a ton. Natalie Coleman and the rest of the forwards for Indiana I do like a good amount. Monique Billings is way too cheap, dirt cheap. I do prefer Laney over Montgomery if there is an ownership difference. I project there to be an ownership difference, but I mean, at the end of the day, getting to both of them is fine. They project out for 20 plus fantasy points each for me. Laney barely getting there, more so than Montgomery, but the price point factored into that. And then yeah, the Tiffany Hayes or the Tiffany Mitchells and the Kelsey Mitchell at the bottom. It's really the either or. Kelsey Mitchell has been playing a little bit more minutes as of late. If those minutes continue to come up, she's the better fantasy point per minute than Tiffany Mitchell, but I'm not sure if she actually continues to see more minutes. So right there, I kind of stay away from both of those players, but there is upside in going to a Kelsey Mitchell if you want to take that risk and saying that, okay, yeah, she's going to play 27 minutes today. Because if she plays 27 minutes today, she quickly becomes one of the best values in the slate. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that was just a 1 or 2 game thing before the All-Star break. So with the All-Star break coming up, maybe they're giving more players like Candice Dupree more rest. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I'm going right now. These are the 12 players in my player pool. Those are my top interests. Hopefully this helps. Make sure to sign up for the NFL course if you're interested in that at all. It's linked down below. It's totally free to sign up for it. It's linked down below. Follow me on Twitter at @SalvationDFS. And if you can hit the subscribe button right now, helps me out a ton. Thank you so much, guys and girls. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.